What's up, guys? Back with another Smite Meta update. I recorded this once, uploaded it, and realized that my OBS just decided that my default device was no longer my current microphone that I've been using for almost a year now. A little bit less than that, like half a year. Regardless, let's go into it. You're going to start with ADCs and move all the way to solo lane as per usual. The schedule's changing for this, by the way. It's going to be uploaded every Monday now, and it's not going to be bi-weekly. It's going to be every single week on Monday, starting next Monday. So look forward to that. YouTube bullshit, like, comment, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Cupid, best hunter in the game, in my opinion. This character is very strong. He has incredibly high damage, really good burst, and he works very well with this current build. Really good burst, really good sustain, really high damage. Most hunters are going Death's Toll or Cowl, but I prefer Death's Toll, Morningstar, and then pots, usually 2 of each. And then Transcendence into Executioner into Kin Size. You can upgrade Executioner into Heavy Executioner when... Not Heavy Executioner. Ferocious Executioner whenever you want. It's just so good at shredding tanks, and you just kill people so quickly. You then go into Silver Branch, Oboe, and upgrade to Death's Embrace. It's pretty simple. A lot of the hunters right now are... Do they do well into Cupid? If no, then probably don't want to play them. Chernobog and Chiron are like 2 picks that are kind of in the middle. Chernobog does okay, and Chiron does okay into Cupid. Chiron just can kind of run away from him, but also can fight him. Chernobog has a harder time. He can also just choose to leave the lane that Cupid's in and fight with his team. Both of them do a decent job, and Chiron's all the more better because of the Brawlers and Crusher buffs. Similarly to people who just run away, Charybdis and Heimdall can just run away from Cupid. Heimdall can actually fight him very well, but Charybdis and Heimdall can just use their ultimates to get away from him. They have the same cooldown as Cupid ultimate. So yeah. That's really it. Normally I would move off the Hunter page to go to the supports, but there's been a trend recently. I don't know if it was Genetics who started it or whoever it was, but On Her support has seen a stark rise in play and is dominating. Honestly, it feels really good. You're starting with Benevolence, and you have the pressure of a double hunter lane. You build like a hybridy tanky build with heavy executioner. You get like Manticore Spikes, Toxic Blade, other items with health on it, and you buy Animosity. And you just play like a support. You're super annoying, and you have enough damage to threaten people because of your On Her passive. Because you reduce the enemy's physical protections for 3 seconds. You've reduced them by 20, and it still does enough damage, especially to, like, mages and stuff, especially to the squishies. Back to the normal stuff. Yamoja and Khepri are still the best 2 supports in the game. And it's not close. Both of them, if played correctly, can be absolutely insufferable to deal with and make you want to smash your head into a wall. Yamoja has a bit more higher skill cap because you have to hit your things, but she can dominate the map with her walls, closing off sections of it, blocking people in, forcing them to buy Phantom Shell. The rings are super annoying. And Khepri is just, I could choose when one of my teammates just doesn't die when you want him to. And your Pluck has non-DRable CC, which is super strong. And you got a ranged root, and you got Prot Shred and Buff. Both of them are super strong right now, and you should be playing them if you're not. A lot of the supports right now, I will mention that Ares is another power pick. If you're good with Ares, you can run Ares in ranked and just run games and just win them by yourself as a support player. But I will say if Ares gets behind, he's not as good. Atlas, Kabrakan, Ganesha, Geb, Ymir, Jingchen, Fafnir, Terra, Sylvanas, Kumba, all feel really good in support right now. Bacchus even. You can run that. They all feel pretty good in support right now. Decent damage, good CC, and they're safe. Safety picks. They could peel well. I say safe, but they could peel well or they could dive really well. It's one or the other. They all have a decent way to get away from stuff. I will say, though, Ganesha, Atlas, and Kabrakan are kind of standouts in that group. And Ymir. Ymir's super good into Lance, so if your team lets Lancelot through, which they shouldn't be, you could pick Ymir and you can kind of block off his, you can block his ultimate. Moving to mid lane now, I'm going to talk about the Hunters quickly. Again, with the Brawlers buff and the Crusher buff, I wouldn't be surprised to see a bit of a rise in Hunter mids. Be Neith, Chiron, Uller, AMC, even On Her, Heimdall can get away with it. Cupid isn't terrible either. All of them are good ability-based hunters that can do a lot of damage. Or, they can do a lot of damage with their abilities. They're not all ability-based. But they are super strong. Mages. There's a lot of them we gotta talk about. First thing I want to mention is Eset and Nox. Both of them are still good in support. I forgot to talk about them in the support section. I don't have like a notes on the side. I kind of just do this off my knowledge. I forgot to talk about these two. They're still nuts in support. Insufferable to kill. Eset is still a circle protection, has a ton of CC. Nox has a ton of lockdown and CC. I actually literally just played a game against Awesome Jake, and this character is super annoying and somebody who can actually play it. These two characters can play support very well. Eset is a better mid. Nox is not great in mid, but Eset does very, very well in mid as well. She's a flex pick, high damage, healing, high CC. Again, same stuff. Another pick that I think is going to live and die by Staff of Mirrodin, but Staff of Mirrodin's good currently, is Discordia. Staff of Mirrodin procs on the Golden Apple of Discord, making it do an obscene amount of damage. She hurts, really bad. And her passive is super good for solo laners or for high-pressure hunters or assassins to have just a little bit of extra damage in the early game. And in the late game as well. Another pick, Yu Huang. It's weird, because I personally feel like Yu Huang is one of the best characters in this game, if not the best mage in the game. High damage, decent early levels. His mid-game's a little weak, but he's incredibly safe. He explodes people with Staff of Mirrodin. This guy is nuts. If you get good with his ultimates, practice it a couple times, you'll get the hang of it. And once you get good with your ultimates, you're going to be an absolute menace to deal with. Junglers have a hard time diving you because you could just choose to ascend in the air for 3 seconds. Something like that. Yeah, it's ridiculous. This character's nuts. Merlin is another character, and the Morgan. Both of them are two characters that have kind of seen a rise lately. The Morgan, because she can kind of just choose where she takes fights and can become another character to use their kit to fight you instead of just hers. And Merlin for the exact opposite. He has high burst, high shred. He has a lot of things you want. He gets to farm. The Warlock's build is super good for him. He gets to farm up and do a ton of damage late game. Shred objectives. He doesn't secure them, but he shreds them very, very well. And yeah. And I think that's all I wanted to talk about here. Let's move to junglers. Daji, Lancelot, Hunbats, Susano, Rat, Pele, Nemesis are all really, really good. Long story short, Brawler's Beatstick and Crusher got buffed. Like I said before, all of those characters like using those. Nemesis less so than the rest of them, but all of those characters love using them. And more power, more damage, what have you. Daji and Lancelot are definitely top 2. You won't see Daji banned as much, but you'll see Lancelot banned every game, pretty much. But Daji's super strong. She forces relics. She has insanely high burst. She sets up well. She has really good shred. Her Hydra's cancels are really good. The build really fits her right now. Hunbats, again, the build really fits him. It's pretty much the same reasons, other than the shred part. Hunbats doesn't really shred. He bursts mostly. But Fear No Evil is a super good tool. When Fear No Evil feels good to use, Hunbats is good. And the knockup immunity brought up that is given to his 2 has made him a much more consistent pick. And overall is very, very strong. If you're a jungler, I would definitely add him to your pool. Ratatoskr has global rotations. Pele has insane burst. Nemesis has insane shred. Susano has really good burst. Lancelot has really good burst. I will say that there's a subset of people that are going a tankier Circuit build with the new Manticore Spikes. Manticore Spikes is nuts, and you should be building it as a protection item. It is 40 prots, and it gives you extra damage. More importantly in support and in solo, but in jungle it still can be useful. People are going mostly tank Circuits with like a Brawlers, and doing the same thing she does when she does that. She just kills people, because she lives forever, and she gets like 4 rotations of abilities off. Osiris, like I said before, I thought that this character was going to die off with the changes to his 3. He hasn't. He's still very, very good, and he does the early pressure thing, the same thing he's been doing. He's just been doing it. Not much I can say about it. And solo. This is kind of fresh off the block. Within the next few days, you will be seeing it. I believe Haddix has uploaded a YouTube video, I think today, about it. A lot of high-level players are doing it. Guan Yu. Fey Blessed Hoops on this character is absolutely bonkers. Guan Yu has been missing an item in his build for a while now, and we just haven't really seen it, and Fey Blessed Hoops is it. 60 magical prots, 10% CDR, 40 MP5, and this is all stats Guan Yu wants. Each time an allied god dies within 70 units you, or you heal an allied god with an ability, a flower drops from an ally that can be picked up by you or an allied god. Picking up the flower gives a shield equal to 7.5% of their maximum HP, and it lasts for 8 seconds. The flower lasts 7 seconds on the ground. Picking up the flower refreshes the shield. If you pick this up, insane shielding. The amount of health that you build on Guan Yu is a pretty decent amount. The only item you don't build with health typically is like Breastplate of Valor. The rest of the items in your build have health, even Bluestone or Warrior's Axe, whichever one you want to go. This character feels really, really good, and he's about to dominate because he now has an item that allows him to... It's a good magical defense item that he enjoys building, and it gives him all the stats he wants. Genji's Guard was kind of what he would default to before, but it just wasn't as good, I don't think. It's still very strong, but Fabulous Hoop's passive is so nuts. So Guan Yu is definitely a big pickup. This is also, at the same time, Tyr has been on the rise too, and Guan Yu has a really good matchup into Tyr. Tyr pretty much can never fearless Guan Yu if Guan Yu's smart about it. So yeah. Again, Tyr, King Arthur, Cucullin. Not about Tyr, but King Arthur and Cucullin. Sovereignty's good, Glad Shield's good, they're good. There you go. Shiva, Bellona, Achilles, Mulan, all feel really good right now. Osiris feels pretty good as well. With Shiva, Bellona, Achilles, and Mulan, you can go the Sov Glad Shield, although Bellona, you probably want to go Berserker Shield. You can also go Soul Eater on Shiva, and Mulan, you definitely want Soul Eater. It's not necessary for this character, but it's utterly ridiculous when you get it. Achilles can also do Soul Eater. They're both really strong. They do a lot of damage, and Achilles is an execute, Mulan is insane CC and chase down in the late game. Okay, Guardians. Cthulhu, Atlas, Cabrakan, and Artio all feel really, really good right now. Artio, because of Fey Blessed Hoop, she feels a lot better than she did before. Again, it's another item that just complements her really, really well. Cthulhu is probably the weakest out of all of them that I mentioned, surprisingly, because there are a lot of picks in rank that can kind of just dominate him. Ymir does really well into him. Nemesis, absolutely. You cannot pick this character into Nemesis. Achilles does pretty well into him, and he can kind of get dominated in the early game. Like, not the first few waves, but like 5, 6, 7, he starts to kind of lose his pressure, and the warriors can kind of beat on him a bit. Cabrakan is going to do what Cabrakan has done. He's been building full damage and exploding people, and you can also go a hybrid build and do the same thing. It just takes a little longer. And Atlas just feels gross right now. A lot of top-level players are playing Atlas in the solo lane just because he's super fun, and 2, he does a ton of damage and deals with ADCs very, very well. ADCs and assassins. You drop your ult on them, and you just CC the hell out of them, and they can't really do anything. Last thing I will mention, the Ullr AMC kind of solo lane meta has pretty much died off. Ullr could still do it, but the nerfs to his damage recently have kind of hit him pretty hard. Though with the new buffs to Brawlers and Crusher, I might see him back in. It's not as great. I wouldn't be surprised if we see like Baron Samedi, Chunga, Hell, not less so Hell, but Baron Samedi, Chunga kind of make a little bit of a resurgence in solo lane just because of how good Fabulous Hoops are and people are realizing it now. I guess for the Assassin tab, Kalina still feels really good in solo lane. Super safe, although she's less so than before. She's super safe. She does really high damage. You can build her full damage, or you can build her hybrid. Robin, you can build him hybrid. He survives really well. He has really high damage, really good pressure. And that's about it. Thanks, guys. Peace.